Hey everybody, Bob Babbitt here. This is Breakfast with Bob. We're in beautiful Nice, France, and we are brought to you by Velofix Polar UCAN Active Premium Plus Sports Travel. We're at the Hotel West End, and fittingly ending our 3 days here with one of the greatest triathletes in history, two-time Olympic gold medalist. Give it up for Mr. Alistair Brownlee. Yeah. How you doing, Alistair?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Happy to be here. I didn't know, am I the last one to do this?
Yeah, yes. This is we're finishing up our week with this.
Yeah,
how cool
last
is that?
Last but not least, hopefully.
No. Never literally kidding that. So talk a little bit about coming to this race. And you've got another big race coming up, your first Ironman World Championship coming up in October. How much do you know about that course? Have you been over to Kona before to check it out?
Yeah, well, firstly, I'm really excited by this race. Second time I've been to the half Ironman World Champs, 70.3 World Champs. Got a second last year, so I'd like to do better this year if possible. And yeah, it's a fantastic venue here in Nice. Great course.
Yes.
Yeah, super location, really beautiful. And so, yeah, great to be here and focusing fully on this weekend first. And then I think it's 5 weeks to Kona. Never been there before. I'm going to head out to the States after a couple of easy days at home, end of next week, get some training in, head out to Kona. Yeah, so many people have told me, you don't want to end up in Kona the first time to do the race. You should go and check it out and get the feeling for the island. And I'm like, I don't want to go all that way and not race. So,
right.
I'm kind of treating this, I guess, as a test run.
Right.
But yeah, I think when I'm out on the course, I'll obviously still be racing.
Yeah, you've had a lot of phenomenal races in your career, obviously. But last year, that 70.3 Worlds, I mean, anybody who was there talked about that, that they felt like they were witnessing history. You've got Jan Frodeno, 2008 Olympic gold medalist, you two-time Olympic gold medalist, Javy Gomez, and you guys were, 21 minutes for the swim, 2:04 for the bike, and then Frodeno goes 1:06, you go 1:07, Javy goes 1:08, and Canute's like 1:12 or something. But talk a little about that race and just the energy of all you guys hammering together during that run.
Yeah, well, I think one of the special things about this 70.3 distance, and we're seeing it definitely again this weekend, is you're getting the best guys across all disciplines, all different distances in the sport. Guys who are in the top end of the ITU World Final last weekend. People have been concentrating on 70.3. Guys who are concentrating on the long distance as well. I think that's really exciting, and we saw that last year to an extent, and it was a great race to be part of. Racing that type of 70.3, I think, is very different to racing a normal 70.3, where you're very much kind of in a battle with yourself. Am I pushing? How hard am I pushing? Can I push harder? Pacing it. Whereas that's just an all-out race. And I was obviously trying to break it up on the bike and make it hard for people and just get a bit of an advantage, but I couldn't do anything with those guys on that kind of course. I'll have no excuse on Sunday if I can't shake people on this course. There's no excuses at all. And then I knew it would come down to a quick run, and I knew I was in pretty good shape last year. I had some good training, but I had a really kind of injury-ridden year last year. Out of September, so that 8 months in the lead up to that, I'd probably done 2 or 3 months of actual training. So I feel like I'm in a better position this year, and I'm looking forward to it. And
you've been training a little bit on the course?
I've done a little bit on the course. I stayed for a few days outside of Nice, near Vence, which is at the bottom of the climb called the Vence, and that's really where the important part of the race is. As you come up off the valley floor there, up towards Vence, and over the col and then down the other side. So I had a bit of an opportunity to check that out, and it's really good.
Everybody we've chatted with has talked about that. A lot of times you do races, they're sort of cookie cutter type of bike courses, and this is the opposite of that. This is like the full-on challenge. There, you have to be able to handle the descents. You need to be able to climb. You still need to be able to go hard on the flats. I'm guessing that you like this type of course.
Yeah, this course is fantastic. I've spent an entire career, saying, "Oh, we need better courses.
Right.
You need to bring
more
in the bike race."
Right? Yeah.
And here it is, I guess. So it is great. I think even at the 70.3 distance, it's non-drafting 12 meters, but groups and tactics play a massive part in a relatively flat race. Once you get rolling along in those big groups at 45, 50k an hour, with all the bikes and everything around you, there's quite a big advantage to being third or fourth in those groups. So,
right.
But once you start going up a 6, 7, 8% gradient, that advantage disappears completely. So it's every man for himself. As soon as we start hitting the hills on the way out and then the descent on the way back, it becomes how strong are you, how well can you go uphill, how well can you push those watts, and then how well can you get around the corners on the way down.
So we were talking to Javy Gomez a little earlier, and just asked him about you, and he said he's the greatest triathlete I've ever seen. He's just so
nice of him.
Yeah, obviously you guys have raced each other a lot over the years.
Praise indeed coming from him, isn't it?
Yeah, and so from your perspective, has Javy been your toughest competitor over the years?
Yeah, for sure. I think not only has he been the most consistent triathlete ever, over so many world titles, so many World Series races off over so many years. I'm starting to feel old at 31. I'm thinking he's still doing it phenomenal. So that is genuinely impressive, and this consistency is the thing that I struggled with. But also I guess when in that era, 2011, 12, 13, that kind of era when we were racing a lot week in, week out in the World Series. I still think they were the fastest races we've probably seen in triathlon around that kind of era. And if I wasn't there, he would have been dominating.
Right.
Well, and if he wasn't there, I would have been winning by ages. So,
And you guys both were in a position with, when you look at the 2012 Olympics, you go into that, and it's in your home country, right? There couldn't be more pressure on you and Johnny. How did you deal with, because people either melt from that or they rise up, and you've got millions of people screaming for you, but it'd be easy to crack under all that pressure leading in, because every story for the last year leading the Olympics was the Brownlees.
Yeah, I think a few things. Firstly, as Johnny said, if we can get through this, everything else in our career will be a breeze. Obviously, it doesn't quite turn out like that. But when people talk about pressure, I'm like, nah. I've seen pressure. But I think a couple of things really. Firstly, genuinely, I think I can look back and I was so fortunate to stand on that start line, knowing that I was in the best shape I could possibly be in that day.
Yes.
And I knew I was fit and healthy, and I was the best athlete there, and I had to mess something up to not win, kind of thing.
So you knew that. In your head, you knew I'm the best athlete.
Yeah, and that hasn't happened a lot in my career. Kind of, I just knew everything had gone perfect. I'd won races 6 weeks out, kind of easily, and I just knew I was in great shape, and that is fantastic position to be in the Olympics, because if anything's wrong, injury, etc., that kind of extra pressure must just be hell, especially in a home Olympics. And then secondly, I kind of very clearly remember going out just before we went out, actually, Johnny and Mia sat in the hotel room, sat on the sofa. We've told this story a lot, and the national news, the main story that's running is going around interviewing people that have made the journey down to London from Yorkshire. Why have you come down, to watch the Brownlees? Where have you come from? Oh, we travelled overnight and travelled on a coach. And just like, oh man, and Johnny literally just turned to me, we better not F this up. Anyway, then a few, half an hour later, we, check in, and we go out onto the course on our bikes, and the crowd was just incredible, like the noise, and it just hit me then. It's like, actually these people are just here to, they want you to do well, why should that be a burden?
Exactly.
And at that point it was like, actually the incredible wave of noise is almost pushing you forward rather than hindering you back. As kind of cliche as it sounds, it was a real fantastic moment.
And to be on the podium with your brother, where he gets the bronze, you get the gold, and anthem is being played, and the flag is going up. Is that something you draw on? Is that something you look back on as, the high point of your life? Yeah,
I haven't thought of it too much being on the podium. I think crossing the line, of crossing the line and just falling over, and the million emotions that go through your mind, one of which is just, thank God that was over and I didn't mess it up. Yeah, exactly, and then, and then obviously seeing Johnny cross the line third and just thinking, thankfully he's sorted as well. And I think that's the moment I think of most, but the podium was very special. For as long as I've watched sport, I've always kind of laughed at people, especially men that have cried on the podium. I was just turning to Johnny saying, don't you burst into tears now.
When I talk to ITU athletes, they talk about how you changed the sport, because on the bike it used to be people came out of the water and let's get in the right position and then go for the run. But it wasn't people attacking on the bike until you. You were the guys who sort of was screaming at people, going, let's go, let's go, let's go. Was that something that you knew that you needed to do, just to take the sport to the next level? Because the ITU guys weren't known as great cyclists back then. Now, all the ITU guys coming into 70.3 in full become an immediate factor.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a concerted effort to change the sport at the time.
Right.
You know, I was very much just playing a very simple odds game. You know, if I come off the bike with 5 people, I'm more likely to win than if I come up the bike with 20 people. And especially if those 5 people are tired and I've managed to make them more tired than me, and the worst runners anyway, I'm even more likely to win. So it was just purely just what's the highest likelihood of me winning this race. And I think that's why I managed to win a lot of World Series races, really, because I could win them in different ways on different days.
And when you look back, besides the Olympic gold, is there one other race that you look at as that was, like you said, that day you knew you were the best guy? Was there another race you had that where maybe you didn't know you were the best guy that day? Maybe you surprised yourself. Maybe you were dealing with an injury, but somehow you got the best out of yourself. Yeah,
there's a lot of races where I went in thinking, I might have a 10 or 20% chance of winning today. Training hasn't gone great. I might have been a bit injured, not feeling so great, and somehow managed to find a way. I think a good example. What's an example of that? Maybe there was a race in Stockholm. I think it was. I can't remember the year. Maybe 2013. And I'd been injured. I knew my running wasn't that good, and I think with 2 laps to go on the bike or 3 laps to go, I just attacked off the front and basically for a lot of effort got a 20 or 25 second gap going onto the run. Javy Gomez was chasing me with Johnny, I think, and Javy quickly dropped Johnny, and then they're running, and this gap's going 19, 18, 17, 18, 17, 16. And I told myself, and I was running absolutely as I could, I'm like, right, if that gap gets to 9 seconds, I'm just going to wait, have a rest, basically, until I get caught. Hope I can hang on for the last couple of K and back myself to kick. And it went like 13, 12, 11, 12 and I'm still just, and it never went to 9 seconds, and I held on for dear life and managed to win.
You won the race. You're like waiting for them to catch you, and they don't.
And the Stockholm, there was this massive hill at the end, not a flat finish at all, and I basically walked up the last hill. I was so gone.
And you still won.
Yep. Yeah.
The transition from, it's funny because we're a sport where you go from Olympic distance to double, to 70.3, to double again. The transition from Olympic to 70.3 and now full, how hard has that been?
I haven't done many Ironmen. I've done one, and the swim was cancelled. So, Although, in fairness, I think it was worse than probably a normal Ironman, that thing, because it was very bad weather and bad conditions. So,
which you like, anyways.
Yeah, well, kind of. I think
from Leeds. Come on.
Yeah, I think I just like it more or dislike it less than everyone else. Is my is my theory. But. That was okay. It obviously becomes less about how fast you can go and your top end engine ability, and more about nutrition, processing nutrition, how efficient can you be, and holding it together without your legs just falling apart. And so, I haven't done. I've really been focusing my training, I guess, on this race,
right?
And trying to be fit for this. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the process of doing a bit of the longer stuff. I found it kind of really inspiring and motivational. Enjoyed the training, enjoyed thinking about the nutrition and the bike position. I'm kind of specifically going to focus on it more after this weekend.
So next year, will you be thinking about Tokyo, or is that?
Well, that's the $1 million question that I get asked about every 3 minutes on average, I think.
There you go. But there's nobody here. You can tell me.
I don't know. I don't know myself. At the moment, I'm going to obviously full steam for this weekend, and then Kona, and then think about it after that. I mean, after before and after Rio, I thought never in a million years would I go and race in Tokyo, because I thought that'd be it. Olympics done, focus on the long distance stuff then, and that's a kind of fantastic career progression. We'll see. There's kind of still an opening at the moment, so we'll see.
Well, you know, if you can still go fast, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, we'll see after the next few months, won't we?
Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for Mr. Alistair Brownlee, the greatest triathletes on the planet. Again, this has been Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Nice, France. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in all week, and we will catch you in Kona.